Hey guys, this is God of Politics, and welcome back to a brand new video. But before we get started with this video, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also follow me on Twitter and join the Discord. Those are both linked down in the description. But in today's video, I will be doing an updated prediction for the 2022 Senate elections. Now, some people may ask, why are you doing a prediction for an election that is almost 2 years away? But, people ask me all the time. They say, what's the rating for, the Pennsylvania Senate election? Or can Republicans flip this seat? Can Democrats flip this seat? So I've decided to just do another prediction. Now, I did do one of these, I believe on November 14th. That was the last time I did a Senate election prediction for 2022. But we have since had recent developments. We've had a couple candidates announce that they're running for seats. We've had the Georgia runoffs decided, giving the Democrats the Senate majority and something to fight to keep hold of in 2022. And so there's a number of interesting races in 2022, and I'm just going to be going through each of them, giving a brief summary for each of these races, talking about whether Democrats will be able to keep the Senate or whether Republicans will be able to gain the Senate back, which would be very, very crucial for them. It's crucial for either side. But as always, I will start off with the safe Republican states. That includes Idaho, as well as North Dakota, South Dakota, Utah, as well as Alaska, Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, as well as Missouri. In Missouri, you do have Roy Blunt, who only won by about 3 points last time, but he did have a very strong opponent, and I don't think he'd have an opponent that strong this time. Also, Iowa, I do believe, would be safe. Definitely would be safe if Chuck Grassley runs, but I doubt he would run. But I do think that another candidate would probably be able to win also by a safe margin. Maybe if his grandson runs, who's, I believe, the Speaker of the House, he would also win it by a safe margin. But there's a little bit of uncertainty there, so I'm just going to put it in safe. As well as Indiana, Kentucky, as well as Ohio will be safe. You have Rob Portman here, who's won easily in both of his races, and I expect him to be able to win easily again here. And you also have South Carolina and Alabama. And so that is all of these safe states, which puts the Republicans all the way up to 46 seats right off the bat with those safe states. And then for the Democrats, I do believe they would win California, Oregon, Washington, as well as Colorado, Hawaii. In Colorado, you do have Michael Bennet here, who actually ran ahead of Hillary Clinton by a little bit in 2016. Now he's got more name recognition. Colorado is a bluer state, and I do expect him to be able to win quite easily, even if some people suspect that this is going to be a more favorable year for Republicans, which I do agree, but I do believe that Michael Bennet will still be able to win easily. Illinois, I also believe that is a safe state. Maryland is a safe state. New York is a safe state. Vermont is also a safe state. Connecticut is a safe state. And then finally, you have the Georgia seat held by Jon Ossoff. It was just put here before the runoffs on this page, but Jon Ossoff has won. He won't be up to a re-election until 2026, so I'm going to put that, just in the safe column there. So after the safe states, both Democrats and Republicans are at 46 seats here, which is quite interesting, meaning that each party only needs 4 to get a majority out of the 8 seats that are going to be under 10 points based on this prediction. Now, the likely margin states, I do believe that Florida is the state that will go by a likely margin. Now, Marco Rubio is quite a strong candidate. He won by around 8 percentage points in 2016, and Donald Trump had an impressive showing in Florida in 2020, improving on his 2016 margins, which he only did in a couple of states like Arkansas, states like Illinois, states like California, but he did very well in Florida, the biggest improvement of any state, and that was due to the improvement with Latino voters in Miami-Dade County, which I believe Marco Rubio will be able to replicate. Maybe he won't get the rural turnout as high, and maybe he might do a little bit better in areas like Duval County, Hillsborough County, etc., but I do believe that he'll be able to win quite easily, maybe by around 9 percentage points, possibly even a safe margin if he runs his campaign very well. But of course, there is a lot of uncertainty. Then there are no likely margin states for the Democrats here, but going into the lean margin states for the Republicans, I do believe Wisconsin is a lean margin state. Now in Wisconsin, you have Ron Johnson here, who has been stirring up a little bit of controversy lately. He opposed the stimulus checks, greater stimulus check money. He did it not only once, but he did it twice. And so, that is not a popular policy that he is pursuing here, and it could hurt him in 2022, but I struggle to see that Democrats are going to be able to get a candidate that could beat an incumbent in a year that's not going to be that favorable to them. In 2016, Russ Feingold ran 3 points behind Hillary Clinton, and he was a former senator. He was a very interesting senator, the only senator to vote against the Patriot Act, for example, and he lost in 2010 to Ron Johnson in the Republican wave year, tried to run back for a seat in 2016, lost by 4 percentage points. go forward a little bit to 2018, Tony Evers only beat Scott Walker, who was, quite unpopular, similar to Ron Johnson in a lot of ways. He only beat Ron Johnson by a point and a half in a very good year for Democrats, which was 2018. So it's going to be difficult to defeat Ron Johnson, even though some people, say he's a very far-right candidate, he's a very fringe candidate. That would make him, in theory, easier to beat, but it's going to be quite difficult. Some people say that Mark Pecan could be a better candidate. He's a more progressive figure. He's from Wisconsin's, I believe, 2nd District, which is, the Milwaukee, Madison, Wisconsin area, the Dane County area, but he has said that he is not going to run. Maybe someone like Ron Kine runs. He's from the Wisconsin's 3rd District, which is the Driftless area over here, which is an area that Biden struggled in. If Ron Kine runs, he can do better in that area. He can do well in Madison. He can, get a lot of votes in Milwaukee as well, do better in the North. Maybe he can pull out a victory, but I think it's unlikely that he would run. Maybe it depends on the redistricting. We'll just have to see. But as of now, I will put that seat at lean Republican. I'm also going to put North Carolina at lean Republican, just due to the fact that I don't see that great of a candidate for the Democrats running just yet. It is an open seat. Richard Burr currently holds the seat, but he is retiring. You have Mark Walker, the former representative who was redistricted out because of the new map, obviously, because their old map was very gerrymandered, but he did lose his seat because of the redistricting, and now you have a situation where he is running for Senate. Now, the only Democrat that I can see would be favored to beat him would be someone like Roy Cooper. Roy Cooper is the current governor. He won by 4 percentage points, ran over 5 points ahead of Joe Biden, and I do believe that he would be able to win, but I doubt he runs due to the fact that, if you won, the lieutenant governor is Republican, and then you have a trifecta for the Republicans in the state of North Carolina. So I doubt that Roy Cooper runs. Some people have been talking about, I forgot the name, but there's a black pastor here. Some people saying that they could replicate the performance of Raphael Warnock. I think that's unlikely, but it is certainly a state that it could be competitive, but for right now, I'm going to put it at lean Republican there. And then those are all the lean margin states. Now, getting into some of these tilt margin states, first, I do believe that New Hampshire is actually a tilt Republican state. Now, I think I put this at lean Republican last time, but I am going to put it at tilt Republican now because this is a state where you do have you do have the current governor in Chris Sununu here, and then you do have the current senator, who is Maggie Hassan. And if you go back a couple years, her last election, she beat Kelly Ayotte, the incumbent senator, by about 1,000 votes. That was a very close election, and that was a big feat for Maggie Hassan because Kelly Ayotte had won by 23 percentage points in 2010, and then she ended up losing in 2016. So some people saying Chris Sununu is going to win easily because he won easily for the governor's race. That's not necessarily true. Maggie Hassan is a strong candidate herself. She was governor of the state, and she won by a safe margin, and then she beat a senator that won very easily in 2010 as well. So it's going to be difficult for Chris Sununu to win, but I do believe that he does have a lot of popularity in the state. New Hampshire is the least Democratic state of all of these states here, so I do believe that it is a possibility that Chris Sununu would win. I believe he'd be slightly favored just now, but that's going to be a very, very close race all the way until the end. And then all of these last 4 races I'm actually putting at tilt Democrat, and I'll give an explanation for each of them. Now, first, for the state of Pennsylvania, close to the state of New Hampshire, I'm going to talk about that first. You have John Fetterman, the lieutenant governor, who has just announced he would run. Now, we don't know how electable he is at the statewide level. Sure, he was winning by 20 percentage points, but you did have that mainly because of Tom Wolf at the top of the ticket that won. He won the statewide primary with 38% of the vote, but I would suspect that he has a lot more rural appeal. The suburban appeal is very difficult to gauge. You have a couple candidates on the Republican side. You have this more moderate candidate that could appeal to the suburbs. He could be a good candidate for the Republican Party. Maybe someone like Brian Fitzpatrick runs. I think if someone like Brian Fitzpatrick runs, he would win quite easily. But if you get someone like Guy Reschenthaler, the congressman from Southwest Pennsylvania near Allegheny County, it's going to be much more difficult for him to win. But the Republicans are going to have to win back the suburbs, and they're going to have to hold on to those rural areas. But I think John Fetterman may be able to do just well enough in the suburbs while getting a lot of ground back in those rural areas like Lackawanna County as well as doing well in Allegheny County, where he's from, as well as doing well in the normal Democratic stronghold of Philadelphia. I think that would be a very close race, but for now, I'm just putting it at tilt Democrat. The Georgia race, I'm going to put it at tilt Democrat as well for a similar reason that I'm putting Arizona at tilt Democrat, and that's for the lack of a good candidate for the Republican Party. Now, the Republican Party in Arizona and Georgia have kind of, screwed themselves. They haven't really put up the right candidates. They haven't really projected the right policy. And Democrats do have a very strong voter turnout operation in Georgia to try and get the black turnout up, even in years that aren't so good for the Democratic Party. And I do believe that Stacey Abrams will be able to do this. Maybe if she runs for governor, that could also help her and Raphael Warnock. But Raphael Warnock is not the strongest candidate, but he did defeat Kelly Loeffler by around 2 percentage points and counting. That's actually a lead that's going up right now, but we're almost done counting anyway. But we're up, about a week from the election. But the point is that I doubt that the Republicans are going to get a candidate strong enough to be able to defeat Raphael Warnock. We're going to have to see. But, Raphael Warnock, I do believe that he can get the turnout high enough, as well as doing well in the suburbs and, of course, with black voters to be able to win this election. But it is, of course, going to be very close. Arizona, Mark Kelly, you would have thought that the logical candidate for the Republican Party would be Doug Ducey, but he has been harmed a lot by what has been happening with Trump. A lot of the base doesn't like Trump anymore, and I don't even think he would run, to be honest, to begin with. I don't think he's going to run. If the Republican Party runs someone like Paul Gosar or Andy Biggs, some of those fringe candidates, they're going to lose by more than just 1 or 2 percentage points. They will lose by quite a lot, especially against someone like Mark Kelly, who I expect to be a more moderate figure when he can be. It's a 50-50 Senate. It's going to be hard to be moderate without breaking, without completely destroying the vote. But I do believe that he will be quite a moderate figure, just like Kyrsten Sinema, and that is what is popular in Arizona. And I do believe that will enable him to win narrowly in 2022, but it will enable him to win regardless. Now, the final seat here is Catherine Cortez Masto's seat in the state of Nevada. Now, I'm really unsure of who the Republican candidate is going to be. If it's someone like Brian Sandoval, I think they could win quite easily. But, how sure are we that he's going to run? How many other good candidates are there for the Republican Party? If you look back at 2010, Harry Reid won in 2010, despite a lot of attacks and a lot of effort to get him out of his seat in 2010. And as good of a year as that was for Republicans, Harry Reid still won, despite the fact that the governor's race was a landslide for the Republican Party. But I do believe it's going to be unlikely that Catherine Cortez Masto loses, but given how close it's been recently and that it probably will be a more favorable year for Republicans, I do expect Catherine Cortez Masto to win by, quite narrow margins. Looking at the map overall, that is still 50 Democrats and 50 Republicans. Democrats would gain Pennsylvania, Republicans would gain New Hampshire. This would be quite interesting. There'd be a lot of close races here. Democrats would take the Senate by the skin of their teeth and keep the Senate, but it would be quite difficult to do, and we're going to have to see as we get closer to the date, which is why I will keep updating my predictions until then. So, thank you all for watching this video. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, follow me on Twitter and join the Discord. Those are both linked down in the description. But again, guys, thank you all for watching this video, and I will see you guys later.